Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're back doing Rivals of Ixalan. This is an intermediate Swiss draft league. And I believe the pick is Moment of Craving. Good removal card. Cheap, effective, combat trick as well. Get the life gain. I like it a lot. There's also a Forerunner of the Heralds in here, which is pretty good. Expel from Arazka. Kumena's Awakening, which is... I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like this format is so aggressive that it's a little bit more difficult to really get going. But Moment of Craving is just great in every black deck, so we're going to take it. And the follow-up pick. This card's bad, right? Yeah, I would say a 4-mana 2/2 flash is already off to a bad start, and the ability is way too narrow. Here we're probably just going to slam and impale. Good follow-up to Moment of Craving. There's also a Dusk Legion Zealot in here, which I love. But we'll take the impale and be happy enough about that. Follow-up pick now. Well, Kitesail Corsair is pretty good. I like it more than the Rig Hauler. Blue-black is a thing. I've had quite a bit of success with it in the format. Otherwise, there's Pioneer, which is good. A Martyr of Dusk, which is actually good for vampires. Still could go that direction as well. But I think ultimately Corsair is probably better than Martyr of Dusk. The flying is pretty big. Flying right over top is kind of a big deal on an aggressive 2-drop. I think that's ultimately better than the die get another thing. Although, I mean, they may be equally strong. I'm not 100% on that. But I'm going to take the... I've had probably more success with blue-black than I have with vampires. Blue-black pirates, I should say, than black-white vampires. But that's probably pretty close, too. So I wouldn't fault anybody for going either way on this. I think it's more of just... pick one and hope you chose wisely. So we'll see. Nezahal. Well, you're pretty expensive, but kind of a cool card. I don't really want to take it. Could just take the Rig Hauler here. Another pretty, well, I would say the Sky Marcher's better than the Rig Hauler. So if I had taken the, I would have had a better follow-up to the Vampire, but I still liked the Rig Hauler. There's also a Swift Warden in here, which is really good. Really strong 3-drop. I'm not a huge fan of black-green in this format. I've played it with some success, but it's not really built around anything in particular, which is a bit of a problem. I think we'll take the Rig Hauler and be okay with it. Okay, getting a Zealot now is quite nice. There's also a Scoundrel, a Dinosaur Hunter, and a Harpy. But even going off of the pirate, basically taking a vampire over 2 pirates just because I think Zealot is a better card. The Harpy might just be the pick too, though. It is a 5-drop, but it's a cool card. It flies, it can be a big finisher. But we probably want to keep the curve as low as possible. I don't know. I really do like the Zealot a lot. I think it's a really strong card. Ends up getting you card advantage while possibly trading with something or helping in trades later. Occasionally a beater. Certainly better in the vampire deck, but we're just going to take it here. I'm going to take it over the Harpy just because it's cheaper. Okay, well, in blue there's some cards, but none of them are really what I'm looking for in terms of cards that synergize well with our pirates. Otherwise, I could take the Voracious Vampire, which is just a menace creature, or I could just take the Mistcloaked Herald because it's unblockable, but usually this is looking for some merfolk synergies to be really good. Otherwise, it's just sort of a little beater. It's also a Soul of the Rapids, but I'm not a huge advocate. It's okay. If you end up with like a Mark of the Vampire, you're pretty happy you have it. I may just take the Voracious Vampire because we have a vampire already. Could get another one now. I really do like the Zealot a lot, so we're going to take it over Recover and Squire's Devotion. Still a chance we end up in vampires. I mean, seeing some pretty... Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the late cards here. I like the Devotion more than the Martyr. So yeah, it could just be we're supposed to be in vampires at this point, which is fine with me. But yeah, I think I like Devotion more than Martyr. Martyr is good too, but Devotion does some work. Cleansing Ray is a good sideboard card to have. Seeing some late blue cards that are actually pretty good too. But we'll take the sideboard card here, guessing that white was sort of open. Seeing all these Zealots is fantastic. I love this card. I would probably play as many as I could get. We're just going to take the colorless card and let the other stuff flow. Don't really need any of this. We'll take the Strider Harness. Okay, definitely taking a Traveler's Amulet. It's actually a nice card to find that late. I think we're off to a good start. Gonna try and make our way into Black-White Vampires if we can. If we can't, I can get back on the blue train if I have to. So we'll have to see on that. I'll take the blue card just in case we end up wanting to cut blue, because I'm currently not 100% on that. We can sort by color until we figure it out. I mean, we're for sure black, but we have not yet established our second color. Okay, so now we can get our first Conquistador, Moment of Triumph, Dusk Charger in here, Squire's Devotion. I'm probably fine taking my first Conquistador. Certainly a good card advantage spell to get. And Dusk Charger's good too. And another Squire's Devotion would be perfectly fine. It's actually good for Ascend, but Conquistador I've found to be pretty excellent, so we'll take it. It's a good game plan, especially if you're in Vampires, which at this point we'd kind of like to be with the Voracious and the 3 Zealots, but we'll see. Oh my gosh. Seafloor Oracle and Mistbinder? This pack is crazy for anybody's in that color. I mean, this card is fine on its own. I don't know if I really want to commit to a blue-black Merfolk deck, though. Sadly, though, because there's really nothing we want too much here, we'll probably just take the Dust Charger and be okay with it, but man, we are passing some strong Merfolk here. This pack would be an insane limited sealed pool to get. Could take the Highland Lake, I guess. No, I mean, I'm just curious if we're gonna end up back in blue, and do I wanna take something that lets me splash, like for the Grixis Pirate? I think we just take the Dust Charger. I think we try and commit to white still and see if we can make it work. Like, I guess we can take the Martyr of Dusk here, which is, I mean, we don't actually have any vampire synergies outside of Voracious, because even Conquistador you can totally play outside of a vampire deck. We'll take the Martyr of Dusk. All right, Conquistador, another. Oh, but there's a Moment of Craving in here too. Jeez. I think we have to take Moment. Moment is just a really important removal spell. Very cheap, very effective against the opposing aggro decks, of which this format is just rampant. That's a tough one, but at least we get another pack to find the Conquistador too. If I could get 3, that would be ideal. Here we can take another Impale. Yeah, we're going to take that over Voracious Vampire number 2. Well, there's some Martyr of Dusk, but I think we'll take the Oathsworn Vampire here. We already have a Martyr of Dusk and a Squire's Devotion. Squire's Devotion works really well with it, but the Moment of Cravings actually work well with it too, so that's good enough for me. Alright, Verdict, get some more removal, otherwise, yeah, there's not that much else. We'll take it. So here I kind of want to take another Voracious Vampire. It gives us some more vampire synergies, which is nice. It's got Menace on its own, which is good. I really do like Martyr of Dusk. Moment of Triumph would be a good pickup too, but we'll take the Voracious Vampire. Alright, we'll take a Moment of Triumph now. Like I said, it's a good combat trick. We've got space for what? 8 more cards. We're probably going to want at least 6 more creatures, 2 more spells, so we're in a good place right now. We have good removal, we have good low curve. We just need something a little bit more bomby or some more card advantage, like another Conquistador or 2. Alright, I guess we'll take a Highland Lake. I mean, we're not going to play any of this anyway. We're not going to play the Highland Lake either, but that's fine. Yeah, I don't know about arterial flow. Guess we'll take the companion. Would prefer to not play it, but that's okay. We already, we'll take another Traveler's Amulet. That's fine, I guess. Harness number 2 as well. I mean, the harness is playable. I'm gonna let someone have that knight. The harness is totally playable. It's just, especially because we have these zealots, so turning them into at least bears that drew me a card is probably better than just having them as 1/1s. But I'd like to do something better if I could. Bishop's nice. Bloodletter's good. Some pretty sweet mythic and rare in here. But it's Bloodletter versus Bishop. I feel like Bishop is kind of a Bishop can end games, which makes me want to take it, but I mean Bloodletter ends games too. They're really both pretty fantastic vampire cards. I feel like Bishop's more what we're looking for because we're looking for a vampire synergy card with high impact. But at the same time, Bloodletter works really well with the Oathsworn Vampire, offsets some zealot stuff, has evasion. I'm going to take the Bishop just because another thing is Bishop is more likely to wheel. Man, that's tough. I mean, I may just opt for lower curve card because, like I said, Bishop is more likely to wheel. We saw like Martyr of Dusk wheeling. I'm gonna hope that Bishop wheels. It's you don't want to play this card outside of vampires. Bloodletter you totally play outside of vampires. So that's my criteria basically. It's cheaper. They're both fantastic, and Bishop is more likely to wheel than Bloodletter. That ultimately I think is what is gonna do it for me. Could take another Bloodletter here. There's Queen's Commission and Call to the Feast. I think we could wheel one of these, so I'm going to take another Bloodletter. Call to the Feast has probably a higher chance of wheeling than Queen's Commission just because it's 2-color. Bright Reprisal, I would be happy wheeling any of these 3 cards, but we're going to go for the second Bloodletter here. Skybladed Legion does fly. I guess that's probably the pick then. Some more evasion. The vampire decks do tend to be underwhelming without the help of some sort of good synergy card, of which we are currently missing. I could take the Heartstopper. It's actually fine as like a thing on the ground to trade. Probably slightly more exciting than a Blightkeeper. Hopefully, ideally, I'd like to not play either of them. There's also a Legion's Judgment for sideboard or a Duress for sideboard, but I guess we'll take the Heartstopper. So Queensbay Soldier is a cheap vampire. I guess we could take it. We're just basically hoping to pick up one Deacon or anything. If we don't get a vampire card, I think this deck could struggle, especially since we only have one Conquistador too. Like, just playing one Conquistador is not worth it. 2 is unexciting, but totally doable. I mean, I guess we can leave the Raptor Companion in until we have at least filled the deck out. Oh, geez. Well, a Bloodletter versus Call of the Feast again. I do like Call of the Feast, but this card is going to be a lot more underwhelming. Basically, it's good with it's going to be good. I mean, it's good to get a bunch of bodies on the board, but I'd rather just. I think Bloodletter probably just is going to finish off more opponents. Getting as many as possible is the right move. If I 100% knew I was going to get the Bishop, I might take the Call of the Feast over it, but I'm certainly not 100%, and Bloodletter just does not require anything to be good, so we're going to take it. I guess I could take the Prying Blade. There's nothing else here. We don't really want it, but I mean, it's okay. In this deck, it's okay. It makes our Zealots and Bloodletters a little bit better. Geez, that's a late Adonto Vanguard. That's a big pickup. That's crazy. This card is very good. Taking it over Slash of Talons. Guess we can give the Conquistador a boot. Looks like that is not happening. I mean, ultimately, I don't think there's enough impact to play the Prying Blade. I'd almost rather just play like a Strider Harness than a Prying Blade if I were going to play one or the other, because I just think equipping for 1 with haste is probably better for our deck than paying 2 I have no need for treasure, and +1/+1 is certainly better than +1/+0. I mean, you can play this earlier, but I think attaching this to things and giving it haste is probably just better. I'm okay with Dust Charger in here. I do think that we can get Ascend because of all the cheap things we have. Well, that's pretty excellent. We got the bishop back, which is kind of perfect. Seeing the Verdant Sun's Avatar wheel is crazy, actually. So we're gonna take the bishop. We're gonna play it. I think we can dump the harness though, probably. Yeah. Now we definitely can. We're gonna easily take the commission, which wheeled, and someone else must be playing vampires because they took the whatever it's called, the 4-drop one that makes 3. But that getting the bishop back actually just makes this entire deck. I think we can probably cut the Raptor Companion. Could cut the Heartstopper too. I think we have enough removal where we may not need the Heartstopper. It's tough to say, actually. We're going to take the commission, though. I mean, Raptor Companion probably better for ending games. Encampment Keeper is something that you can do with a bunch of mana and a bunch of little dudes. Costly Plunder would just be a sideboard card against certain decks. It's actually not bad with Zealot either. I may actually do Encampment Keeper over like a companion. That might seem crazy, but I think we have enough bodies that are little where Encampment Keeper could be a late game plan. I'm not 100% on whether it's going to happen or not, I guess, but remember, this makes a token and we are running the commission, so we really have like 18 creatures, sort of. Just a lot of creatures for Encampment Keeper. It's tough to get to 8 lands too to activate the ability, but it is like a way to win in the late game. So we can take Duress for sideboard. Alright, take the Chalice. So it looks like this is probably the deck we're going to build. It really is kind of a toss-up between the Heartstopper and the Encampment Keeper. Heartstopper isn't going to have the late game impact that we want, but it will stop more threats. If I had more evasion, I might be a little more keen on playing Heartstopper just to kill on the ground and then I could fly over top, but I basically just have a Skybladed Legion and 3 Bloodletters, so it probably is in our best interest to just have one more thing alongside the bishop to do in the late game. We have a bunch of excess lands, we got a bunch of little dudes on the ground, it's a stalemated board somehow, whether it be they just have blockers and can't attack because we have too many little dudes that can attack back, or we've, successfully removed all their big threats, anything like that. And then Encampment Keeper could actually be a good draw. It's like, oh, I have 8 mana, at least I can do something. But for the most part, I think Heartstopper is probably just a better card than Encampment Keeper. I have pretty good removal, though. I have the Moment of Triumph, I have double Moment of Craving, and I have double Impale and a Divine Verdict. So I may have enough removal and tricks where I don't need a Skittering Heartstopper. I mean, I probably don't need like a Queensbay Soldier. This card is pretty low impact. Besides being a vampire, it is pretty low impact. And I have, I think, like 15 vampire cards. We could do a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16 vampires. We may not need the soldier. I could arguably do a Heartstopper over the soldiers because I have plenty of vampires, and then I can keep the Keeper. Like, Keeper and Heartstopper might just be more exciting than a bear that happens to be a vampire. Like, this has synergy with the Bishop, the 2 Voracious Vampires, and that's it. And I want to keep the Dust Charger because it's at least like a threat in the late game. A 5/5 is a big deal, basically at any point in the game. So I think we are going to cut the soldier and we'll do the Heartstopper. And the intention is we still have 14 or 15 vampire cards, so we still have plenty. It's good ground trade material. I want to keep the Encampment Keeper as something to do in the late game to just win, and then Bishop of the Bloodstained is our other way to just win in the late game. So ultimately, I think this deck got there in terms of we have all the key parts. We have a great curve. We have great removal. We have synergistic tribal theme. So I think it just really wanted like an Anointed Deacon would have really helped put it over the top for our flyers. Because now we kind of have an underwhelming Skybladed Legion, which I'd still prefer to play over the Queensbase Soldier. But some slightly underwhelming cards now because of not getting Anointed Deacon or like the 2-drop Lord from Rivals. But I still think ultimately this deck is very good. So even being on a Legion Conquistador plan would have helped this deck tremendously, I think, but that's okay. I don't think it's a huge deal. We'll probably just end up doing 9-7 because we do actually have some cheap white spells we want to play. 3 2-drops as a matter of fact, but I do want 9 because we have some double black spells that, and you really want to be able to play your Impales on turn 4. So, okay, here it is, Black-White Vampires. We'll see you round 1.